So constructor is basically called when an instance of the class is created. What do we mean by this line? How do we create the instance of a class? When you're creating an object, that means you are creating the instance of the class. As seen in the previous example, we have created a class named employee. For that, we have created the object in our main method. That is employee emp obj equal to new employee. That means we have created the instance of that particular class. Now, first thing is this Java compiler will provide default constructor. So what a constructor is, I'll tell you. So when we go to this third point, we will understand what a constructor looks like, and we will look into it using an example. So first is constructor name must be same as class name. It should not have any return type, and it also should not have any abstract, static, or final keywords associated with it. So there are two type of constructors. One is default constructor, one is parameterized constructor. So basically what happens is I'll write that code and I'll let you know what a constructor is. I'll go to new, create a new class, which will be constructor example. I'll ask it to create this for me. No comments this time. So this is what is created. So this is a default constructor, and the constructor looks similar to what a class is. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is we are creating this employee class, and I'm just writing that employee is, so we already had employee. Employee is created. We will say employee object is created. And then if suppose we have int I, nothing here. And if we have one more constructor, which is a parameterized constructor. Here what we will do, we will initialize that particular value. And then if we have a method public void display. So here it will print okay. So what happens in constructor is when you create a new object, for example, I'll create the object of employee emp equal to new employee. So this time what is happening is it will directly print this employee object is created. Okay, now this is giving error because in this particular package, the class name employee was already created in the previous example. So we just have to change the name of this particular class. And if we are creating a new package and then creating this example, then their employee will work. But here it won't work. Okay. Now if I run this code, first option was to right click the code, go to run as and run as Java application. Second is there is a button directly here. When you hover over that button or when you click this down arrow, it will give you example to run what you want to run. So I'll just click here and you can see employee object is created. It is running here. Why? Because we have created the object. When we are creating object employee1 emp equal to new employee1. So this particular constructor is called, and constructor by default are called during the initialization phase only. So for example, if I'm not writing this, if I want to comment this, I've commented this code. If I'm not writing this, now nothing will be printed, but just a sec. Now here nothing will be printed, but the thing is by default, one default constructor. So this is known as default constructor is already created, which will do the initialization of the values that are used. And what kind of initialization? For example, if I call emp.display, we will see what we are able to print. So when I run this, we will see the value of I is 0. Why 0? Because it has not been initialized. That's why by default the value of I is 0. And the initialization of I equal to 0, because we have not written explicitly. The initialization of I equal to 0 is done using this default constructor. Default constructor will give default values to the all the variables that are declared in that particular class. Is this clear? So now when I write this and I create new object like employee1, emp1 equal to new employee1, and here if I pass the value as 1, 2, 3, then when I call emp1.display, then you will see the value of I will be 1, 2, 3. First, I am calling it once, so it will be value of I is 0. For the second time, the value of I will be 1, 2, 3, because I'm creating the object of that particular class using the parameterized constructor here. Now, if I run this, you can see for the first line here, when the constructor was called. So here it was printed employee object is created. When we call emp.display, this I was initialized in the default constructor. So the value of I was 0. Similarly, when I've called this parameterized constructor, which is this one, I'm passing the value 1, 2, 3. Here we are initializing I equal to A. A means 1, 2, 3. And then I'm printing this emp1 equal to dot display. Then it is printing the value of I is 1, 2, 3. Is this clear? What is the constructor? Why do we use constructor? Basically for initialization. And how do we use it?